What's up, guys? We're going to talk a little bit about self-defense and why Jeet Kune Do, particularly Jeet Kune Do, may not always be the ultimate answer for self-defense. Now, if you're in a situation where you're in a wide open parking lot, you need to escape, or you need at least the option to escape, Jeet Kune Do is going to be perfect for that. You're going to have the footwork to be able to find exits. If you're dealing with multiple attackers, TWJKD is going to be great. You're going to be very mobile on your feet. You're going to be able to hit at different angles. You're going to be able to break up the rhythm, and it's a target-rich environment. So go nuts. But let's talk about some situations where it wouldn't be all that great. I've said this before on maybe an internet forum here and there, or maybe in mixed company, so to speak, and occasionally got some gasps and some how could yous, but let's say, for instance, you're at the lake and some rowdy teenager is out there dunking your 8-year-old, and they won't stop. You've asked them to stop, they won't. Maybe they're drunk, and maybe it's a whole crew of them out there in waist deep water, chest deep water, okay, and you wade off out there to handle it. If you're in waist deep water, chest deep water, how do you think your footwork is going to be? In that situation, with multiple people to deal with out there, how important do you think your on guard stance is going to be? How important do you think your stance is going to be at all? Another situation, you're out at the ball game. You went and watched a baseball game or a football game or something like that. Maybe you went and watched a baseball game and they hit a pop-up fly into the stands, and your kid is right there, or maybe your wife is right there to catch it, and somebody else leans over, kind of knocks them out of the way, and catches that fly ball, walks off and thinks it's funny. And let's say you get heated, of course, and maybe you have a few words with that individual, or worse yet, some gorilla's wife. And now you're in a situation where you're in bleachers, right? You're up there in the stands. Maybe that person is to the left of you, but you're right-handed. Do you really want to turn your back to the downhill of the stands and fight right lead? Are you sure? How important do you think, with all those people to your left, to your right, behind you, in front of you, behind them, how important do you think your footwork is going to be? Might come in handy. Certainly balance is going to come in handy, very possibly. But with that little room to really maneuver, Jeet Kune Do might not be the best thing to use. Or let's say you end up getting into it with the wife. Is a straight lead the answer? Is a groin kick, rear straight combo the answer? Those teenagers out there in the lake, is it going to be a good idea to go wading off out there throwing 5-piece combos at these teenagers? Probably not. And those situations are even less likely than a situation like an in-law, maybe a son-in-law, maybe a daughter-in-law, maybe your son or daughter, teenage or grown. Maybe they're on drugs, maybe they're not. Maybe they're just mad for whatever reason. Is going out there throwing sidekicks at your daughter-in-law really the answer? I don't think so. Your brother-in-law, your father-in-law, is that the answer? I don't think that's the answer. And that's the reason that I said that I say Jeet Kune is not always going to be the answer for self-defense. And one of the reasons that Sifu Hitchcock really dove headfirst into grappling and tried to figure out how exactly a person could go about handling situations like that without sending people to the dentist, without sending people to the emergency room, without head trauma. And that's some things you need to think about if you're a self-defender. You also need to think about the fact that you might have a martial arts ranking. For instance, I have a 3rd degree black belt, and I have a ranking in Jeet Kune Do. I could go on and list a couple more rankings I have that make me seem like a real badass on paper, but I'm just a guy, you know. I can get beat up like anybody else, I know, because it's happened. So you need to be careful about who you go out there beating up anyway. You don't want to get in those situations if you don't have to, because the smartest thing to do in some of these situations is to knock someone out. Crazy, right? Terrible idea legally, looks terrible, but really, sometimes the best thing to do is knock that 16-year-old kid out. It's the safest thing to do. Probably safe, definitely safest for you. Might even be safest for him and his little crew. So, more than anything, you need to think about de-escalation techniques. You need to think about your own ego and how you can keep your ego and your mouth from getting yourself into these situations. Now, those of you that have known me very long probably think this is the funniest damn video I've made yet. I won't say why, but well, to say the least, I'm probably not the person best tasked to preach about keeping your mouth shut. We'll just put it that way. But these are things you need to think about. So keep that in mind in your studies and keep training.